First Contact's Challenge. The quantum anomaly appeared without warning, a rippling distortion in spacetime that defied every known law of physics. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the control room of the Ganymede Research Station, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the phenomenon hovering near Jupiter's orbit. 3 weeks of continuous observation had yielded more questions than answers. Another energy spike called out Marcus Rodriguez, her assistant, from his station. Different from the last one. It's organized somehow. Sarah leaned forward, her lips pressed into a thin line. The patterns dancing across her screen shouldn't have been possible. Quantum fields didn't behave this way naturally, which meant it's artificial, she whispered, the realization hitting her like a physical force. This isn't a natural phenomenon. Someone's trying to talk to us. The next 48 hours passed in a blur of calculations, simulations, and desperate attempts to understand the impossible message being transmitted through quantum space. Sarah hadn't slept, surviving on synthetic caffeine and the pure adrenaline of discovery. Her team had grown from 3 to 30 as every available physicist and Xenolinguist in the solar system joined the effort. The breakthrough came at 3:47 a.m. station time. Sarah was staring at the latest data set when the pattern suddenly shifted, resolving into clear, structured information. Her hands shook as she input the final decryption sequence. A voice filled the control room, speaking perfect English with an odd musical quality. "Greetings, children of Earth. We are the collective, and we need your help." The message continued, explaining that they were an alliance of 17 advanced civilizations who had been studying humanity from afar. They had watched as humans pushed the boundaries of science, broke theoretical limits, and consistently achieved what their equations said was impossible. Within days, the first collective ship arrived. It emerged from what they called probability space, a method of travel that Sarah's team was already theorizing about how to replicate. The vessel itself was a marvel of engineering, a crystalline structure that seemed to exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. The alien representatives were equally fascinating. The primary ambassador, who called herself Nexus, appeared as a shifting form of pure energy contained within a humanoid framework. Her voice resonated directly in the minds of those around her, carrying not just words but concepts and emotions. "Your species is unique," Nexus explained during the first formal meeting at the United Earth Council. "In all our centuries of exploration, we have never encountered minds like yours. You see possibilities where we see only walls. You find solutions that our most advanced quantum computers insist cannot exist." "What exactly do you need from us?" asked Director Helena Santos, Earth's chief representative. Nexus's form flickered, displaying colors that human eyes had never seen before. "We face a threat that defies all our understanding. A cosmic anomaly we call the Void is consuming entire star systems, breaking down the fundamental forces that hold reality together. Our most brilliant minds have failed to stop it. Our most advanced technology cannot even slow it down." Sarah leaned forward, her scientific curiosity overwhelming her diplomatic restraint. "Why do you think we can help?" "Because you are different," Nexus replied. "Your species does not follow the logical progression of technological and social development that we have observed in every other civilization. You make intuitive leaps that defy explanation. You find connections that our predictive models say should not exist. In short, you think in ways that we cannot." The implications were staggering. An advanced alien federation, capable of manipulating the quantum fabric of reality itself, was asking humanity for help. Not because of superior technology or resources, but because of how humans thought. "Show us everything you know about this void," Sarah said, her mind already racing with possibilities. "And don't leave anything out, even if you think it's irrelevant. Sometimes the most important clues are in the details everyone else ignored." As the data began flowing into Earth's quantum computers, Sarah felt a familiar excitement building in her chest. This was why she had become a scientist, not just to understand the universe, but to push the boundaries of what was possible. The collective had reached the limits of their methodical, logical approach to problem-solving. Now it was time to show them how humanity's chaos theory could change everything. The next few days would prove to be just the beginning of a partnership that would reshape the galaxy forever. But first, they had to solve an impossible problem. And humanity was about to show the cosmos exactly what made them special. The impossible solution. The Ganymede Research Station had transformed into humanity's foremost think tank. Scientists from every discipline crowded the expanded facilities, their diverse perspectives creating a chaos that made their collective observers visibly uncomfortable. Sarah watched as her whiteboard filled with equations, diagrams, and seemingly random connections that would have horrified her old physics professors. "You're approaching this backward," Sarah announced during the joint session with the collective's leading scientists. She gestured to their elegant but failed solutions. "You're trying to fight entropy with order. But what if that's exactly why you're failing?" Nexus's energy form rippled with confusion. The void operates on principles of chaos and destruction. Logic dictates we must oppose it with order and structure. "That's exactly what it expects," Marcus chimed in, his hands dancing over a holographic simulation. "It's like trying to stop a flood with a wall. Eventually, the water always wins. But what if instead of fighting the flow, we worked with it?" Sarah nodded, her excitement building. "The void isn't just destroying reality. It's changing it. Your data shows patterns in the destruction, but you dismissed them as random noise. We think they're not noise at all. They're a new form of physics being born." The human team had spent weeks analyzing the collective's vast data archives. Where the aliens saw only failure and chaos, Sarah's team had noticed something extraordinary. The void wasn't simply consuming reality. It was transforming it into something new, something that operated on principles that even the collective's advanced science couldn't comprehend. "Impossible," declared first theorist Axum, a crystalline being who led the collective's research division. "The fundamental constants of the universe cannot be altered." "Can't they?" Sarah pulled up images from Earth's history. "Look at our quantum mechanics. When we first discovered it, it completely contradicted our classical physics. Both systems worked, just under different conditions. What if the void is creating a third system?" The room erupted in debate. The collective scientists argued that such a transformation defied every known law of physics. The human scientists argued back that laws were meant to be broken, or at least bend enough to peek around them. "Here's what we propose," Sarah said, pulling up a new simulation. "Instead of trying to stop the void, we let it transform a controlled volume of space. We study the new physics it creates, learn its rules, and then use those rules to communicate with it." "Communicate?" Nexus's form flickered with surprise. "You believe the void is intelligent. We believe it's a natural process we don't understand yet," Marcus explained. "Like how ancient humans thought earthquakes were gods fighting. Once we understand it, we can work with it instead of against it." The proposal was radical, dangerous, and completely contrary to the collective's careful, methodical approach to science. It also happened to be humanity's best chance at saving the galaxy. "The risks are unacceptable," Axiom protested. "To deliberately allow the void to transform any region of space are higher than doing nothing," Sarah challenged. "Your models show the void will reach populated systems within 5 years. We have to try something different." The debate raged for days. The human team refined their proposal, adding layers of safety protocols and contingency plans. They'd brought in experts from fields the collective had never considered relevant: chaos theory mathematicians, quantum biology specialists, even philosophers and artists who might see patterns others missed. Finally, Nexus made her decision. "We will attempt your solution," she announced. "A test site has been prepared in an uninhabited system. But understand this: if you are wrong, if the void cannot be understood or controlled, the consequences will be catastrophic." Sarah met the energy being's gaze steadily. "That's why we'll succeed. Humans do our best work when failure isn't an option. As the team prepared for their radical experiment, Sarah couldn't help but smile at the irony. The collective had spent centuries trying to impose order on a chaotic universe. Now humanity was suggesting they embrace the chaos instead. It was exactly the kind of counterintuitive thinking that made humans unique. The test site was prepared within weeks. A remote star system, evacuated of all sentient life, would become their laboratory. As Sarah watched the final preparations through the quantum link, she felt the weight of not just humanity's future, but the entire galaxy's resting on their success. Ready to break the laws of physics? Marcus asked, managing a nervous grin. Sarah checked her calculations one final time. Let's show the universe why humans never got the memo about impossible things staying impossible. Breaking the rules. The test system hung in space like a cosmic laboratory, its single red dwarf star casting a crimson glow across the instrumentation erase humanity, and the collective had positioned throughout the system. Sarah stood aboard the observation station, her heart pounding as she watched the final preparations through the quantum glass viewport. Void anomaly detected at predicted coordinates, Marcus announced, his voice steady despite the tension. Time to contact. 3 minutes. The collective ships hung back at a safe distance, their crystalline forms refracting starlight. Only the human-designed vessels remained close to the test zone, modified with technology that seemed to offend the very nature of the collective's understanding of physics. What your species proposes is madness. First theorist Axiom's voice resonated through the command center. Your devices violate fundamental principles of reality. That's exactly the point, Sarah replied, checking the readings on her quantum interface. The void doesn't follow our rules of physics, so we built technology that doesn't either. The human solution was elegantly brutal in its simplicity. Instead of fighting the void's reality warping effects, they had created devices that actively amplify them, but in controlled, directed ways. It was like surfing a tsunami instead of trying to stop it. 30 seconds to contact, Marcus called out. All systems are functioning outside normal parameters, exactly as planned. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The collective's engineers had nearly had nervous breakdowns watching humans deliberately build machines that shouldn't work. But that was humanity's secret weapon. They didn't care what should or shouldn't work. They cared about what did work. Contact in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The void touched their test zone, and reality screamed. The space around them twisted in ways that made eyes hurt and sensors overload. The human devices activated, their impossible geometries reaching out to touch the unknowable. Where the collective's technology had tried to impose order, humanity's embraced disorder, creating a harmony with the chaos that defied explanation. We're getting readings. Sarah's fingers flew across her console. The void isn't just destroying reality. It's transforming it, processing it, like a cosmic recycling system. Data poured in faster than their quantum computers could analyze it. The human devices weren't just surviving contact with the void. They were communicating with it, speaking its language of chaos and transformation. Impossible, Axiom whispered, but there was a new note in their voice. Wonder. For 3 hours, they rode the edge of reality's transformation, gathering more data about the void than the collective had managed in centuries. Sarah's theory was proving correct. The void wasn't a destroyer, but a transformer, part of the universe's natural cycle of renewal. Look at these patterns, Marcus said, highlighting a series of quantum fluctuations. They're not random. They're iterative. Like the void is trying different configurations, learning as it goes. It's an evolutionary process, Sarah breathed, the implications hitting her. The universe isn't being destroyed. It's evolving. And we can guide that evolution. The observation station shuddered as another wave of reality distortion washed over them. But their jerry-rigged systems held, bending with the chaos instead of trying to resist it. It was the most human solution possible. If you can't beat them, join them, then figure out how to steer. We need to expand the test, Sarah announced. These results prove the concept. With a larger array of our devices, we could create channels for the void's energy, directed away from populated systems. The power requirements would be enormous, Nexus observed, her energy form fluctuating with calculation. The coordination required would exceed anything attempted in galactic history. Then it's a good thing humans are really good at doing what's never been done before, Sarah replied. We'll need to modify the designs, scale up production. And most importantly, we need the collective to trust us enough to try. The alien representatives conferred in their quantum-linked consensus, their debate visible as ripples of light and color. Sarah waited, knowing that this moment would define not just the success of their project, but the future relationship between humanity and the collective. Finally, Nexus spoke. The consensus is divided, but the results cannot be denied. You have achieved what we thought impossible. We will proceed with the expanded test. A cheer went up from the human crew. Sarah felt tears in her eyes. Tears of relief, of pride, and of determination. They had proven their theory, but the real work was just beginning. Humanity has always thrived at the edge of possibility, she said, addressing both her team and their alien observers. Now we're going to show you why the impossible is just another word for something that hasn't been done yet. As the observation station began preparations for the next phase, Sarah looked out at the transformed space where their test had succeeded. The void had changed that region of space, yes, but humanity had changed how the galaxy would face such challenges forever. Paradigm shift. 6 months after the successful test, the Ganymede Research Station had become the center of a galactic revolution. Ships from across the collective arrived daily, carrying scientists, engineers, and philosophers eager to learn humanity's way of thinking. The station had grown into a sprawling complex of interconnected modules, each one a fusion of human intuition and alien technology. Sarah stood in the new quantum auditorium, facing an audience that represented 17 different species. Behind her, a holographic display showed the network of void-channeling devices now spanning 3 sectors of space, glowing lines of controlled chaos protecting populated systems. The key was never about fighting the void, she explained, gesturing to the success metrics. It was about understanding that chaos and order aren't opposites. They're partners in a cosmic dance. By learning to dance with the void instead of against it, we've turned a threat into an opportunity. The results were undeniable. The human design network didn't just contain the void. It harnessed its transformative energy, creating new possibilities that even humanity hadn't imagined. Regions of space that had been written off as lost were showing signs of renewal, spawning new forms of matter and energy that defied conventional physics. But the greatest transformation, Marcus added from his position beside her, hasn't been in space. It's been in how we think about problems. He was right. The collective's rigid hierarchy was giving way to something new, something more dynamic. Young aliens were beginning to question traditional methods, inspired by humanity's example. They called themselves adapters, and their numbers grew daily. Ambassador Chen, a crystalline being that Sarah now knew was barely an adolescent by their species' standards, raised an appendage. Is it true that humans sometimes solve problems by sleeping on them? Sarah smiled. The concept of unconscious problem-solving had scandalized the collective at first. The idea that solutions could come from dreams, from intuition, from letting the mind wander. It challenged everything they believed about proper scientific methodology. Yes, she answered. Sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to stop trying to solve it. Let your mind process it in the background. That's why our research teams take mandatory breaks, why we encourage hobbies and creative pursuits. The audience murmured. 6 months ago, such a suggestion would have been met with dismissal or outrage. Now, there was curiosity, interest, even excitement. A holographic message flashed in Sarah's peripheral vision. Another void anomaly had been detected, but this time, there was no panic. The network was functioning perfectly, channeling the transformative energy along predetermined paths, away from populated systems. Humanity's gift to the galaxy isn't just a solution to the void, she continued. It's a new way of seeing possibilities. Every problem has multiple solutions. Every failure is a lesson. Every chaos contains patterns, if you're willing to look for them. After the lecture, Sarah met with Nexus in what had become their regular meeting spot, the station's observation deck. Earth hung like a blue jewel in the distance, a constant reminder of humanity's humble origins. Your species has changed us, Nexus admitted, her energy form shifting through contemplative patterns. Some find it disturbing. They say we're losing our way, abandoning millennia of tested methods. Change is scary, Sarah acknowledged, but it's also inevitable. The universe doesn't stand still. Either you adapt, or you get left behind. The younger generations especially are embracing human concepts. They're forming mixed research teams, combining our technology with your methodologies. They're even adopting your recreational activities. Nexus's form flickered with what Sarah had learned to recognize as amusement. Did you know there's now a Galactic Chess Federation? Sarah laughed. The image of beings of pure energy and crystalline entities hunched over chessboards was delightfully absurd and perfectly emblematic of how humanity was influencing galactic culture. The void is changing, Nexus continued, more seriously. Your network isn't just controlling it. It's communicating with it. Some theorists believe it's responding to us, adapting its own patterns. It's as if the universe itself is learning to dance with us, Sarah finished. She stepped closer to the viewport, watching as a collective ship practiced a new, more fluid form of quantum navigation inspired by human space ballet. That's the secret humans have always known, even if we didn't realize it. The universe isn't a problem to be solved. It's a partner to be understood. The next phase was already beginning. Human universities were opening their doors to alien students. Collective research centers were adopting human brainstorming techniques. A new generation of scientists was emerging, one that combined the best of both approaches, the collective's vast knowledge and humanity's boundless creativity. We're not just changing the galaxy, Sarah realized. We're evolving with it. Legacy of change. 10 years after humanity's first contact with the collective, the galaxy had become unrecognizable. The Ganymede Research Station, once a humble outpost, now served as the heart of the newly established Galactic Innovation Institute. Its sprawling corridors buzzed with activity as beings from across the cosmos came to learn what humans called thinking outside the box. Sarah Chen, now Director of Sinological Relations, stood before the massive quantum observatory window, watching ships of human and alien design weave intricate patterns through space. Each vessel's movement reflected the remarkable synthesis of methodologies that had transformed galactic society. Hard to believe it all started with an impossible problem, Marcus said, joining her at the window. His hair had grayed at the temples, but his eyes still held the same excitement they had when they first decoded the collective's message. The quarterly reports just came in, Sarah replied, pulling up a holographic display. The Void Network is now self-sustaining. It's not just containing the transformation anymore, it's directing it, creating new spaces where different laws of physics can coexist harmoniously. The network had evolved far beyond its original purpose. What began as a defensive measure had become a tool for exploration and creation. Regions once thought dead now thrived with new forms of life, adapted to the transformed physics. The void, once feared, was now understood as part of the universe's natural cycle of renewal. A group of young aliens passed by, a mix of energy beings, crystalline forms, and other species Sarah still struggled to categorize. They were arguing passionately about a new theory that combined quantum mechanics with human psychology. Such cross-disciplinary thinking would have been unthinkable in the old collective. Ambassador Chen, one of them called out, a being of pure light who had taken the human name Aurora. We've been applying human dream analysis techniques to quantum fluctuations. The patterns we're finding, they're revolutionary. Sarah smiled, remembering how the collective had once dismissed human intuition as unscientific. Now, their youngest minds eagerly sought to combine ancient alien wisdom with human creativity. "Director," her quantum assistant chimed, "the Council is ready for your presentation." The Galactic Council chamber had changed too. Gone were the rigid hierarchies and formal protocols. Representatives sat in a spiral pattern that encouraged free discussion, another human-inspired innovation. 10 years ago, Sarah began, addressing the assembled leaders, we faced what seemed like the end of everything we knew. The void threatened to unravel reality itself. But what we discovered wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. She gestured, and the chamber filled with a holographic display of the galaxy. Bright lines showed the flow of void energy through their network, creating new patterns of possibility. Humanity didn't solve the problem of the void, she continued. We changed how we saw the problem. And in doing so, we changed ourselves, and we changed the galaxy. The evidence was everywhere. Collective ships now incorporated human-inspired designs that allowed for adaptation and improvisation. Alien sciences embraced human concepts of intuition and creativity. Human art hung in alien galleries, celebrated for its ability to provoke new ways of thinking. But perhaps most remarkably, the younger generations had created something entirely new, a hybrid culture that took the best of all worlds. They called themselves the Synthesis, and they were reshaping the galaxy in ways neither humanity nor the collective could have imagined alone. We stand at a new beginning, Sarah concluded. The void taught us that change isn't something to fear. It's an opportunity to evolve, to grow, to become more than we are. Humanity's gift to the galaxy wasn't just a solution to one problem. It was a new way of finding solutions to all problems. After the presentation, Sarah returned to her favorite spot on the observation deck. Earth still hung in the distance, but it no longer seemed small or isolated. It was connected to a vast network of cultures and ideas, each one enriched by the exchange. Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this? Marcus asked, joining her once again. Sarah shook her head, smiling. That's the beauty of the human way, isn't it? We never know exactly where we're going. We just know we'll figure it out when we get there. A new ship passed by the window, its design a perfect fusion of human intuition and collective precision. It moved like a dancer through space, proof that the impossible was just another word for something that hadn't been tried yet. The galaxy needed us, Sarah said softly, not because we were stronger or smarter or more advanced. It needed us because we were different, because we could see possibilities where others saw only problems. As she watched the endless dance of ships against the star-filled backdrop, Sarah thought about all the challenges that still lay ahead. But she wasn't worried. Humanity had shown the galaxy how to embrace uncertainty, how to dance with chaos, how to find opportunity in crisis. The species that transformed the galaxy had transformed itself in the process, and the greatest adventures still lay ahead, in the endless possibility of the unknown. The end.